I know this will spark controversy, and it's because of these controversial words. Scooby Doo 2002 is better than Scooby Doo 2.
What? Did you even watch Scooby Doo 2? Pardon my language, sir, but I know Scooby Doo 2002 is a fun movie and all, but gosh darn it, better than Scooby Doo 2? Please. Okay, so in the past I've made quite a few videos about some films where most of the responses seem to be, I can't tell if he's being serious or not. First of all, yes, I am being completely serious. But if there were any film that I would never, ever joke about the quality of, it's Scooby Doo 2, Monsters Unleashed.
We have you tattooed on our chest! Look!
That's very sweet.
I'm dead serious. I couldn't be more serious about this than anything else in my entire damn life. So I just wanted to get this over with now. In this video, I am being 100% serious unless I say otherwise. Everything I say, and this is my true and honest opinions on this movie. Scooby Doo 2, Monsters Unleashed, is amazing. The internet has probably trained you to think that this movie is just some awful lowbrow comedy, only meant for small children and to cash in on the popularity of the show. But those people are dumb. Recently I've gotten into the shtick of watching movies that I saw as a kid to laugh at how bad they were. Movies like Tom and Jerry, the Fred trilogy, Hannah Montana the movie. But something happened with Scooby Doo 2. I frickin' loved it. I loved it so much that the very next day I watched it all over again and enjoyed it just as much, if not more. But I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. I think we need to first of all look into why a live-action CGI hybrid Scooby Doo movie was even made, and why it then got a sequel. Scooby Doo is an old Hanna-Barbera cartoon where this group of friends, Fred, Daphne, Velma and Shaggy, go around solving mysteries with their talking dog Scooby. It was an insanely popular show, so turning it into a movie made sense. Although what doesn't make sense is why they waited 33 years to make said movie. Some of you probably already know at this point, but the original Scooby Doo movie was initially going to have a much darker tone than the released version, but shortly after the actors signed on it got more family friendly, with things like Shaggy being a stoner, Velma and Daphne kissing, and female cleavage being removed from the final cut.
I can look at myself naked.
With the writer James Gunn saying it was originally rated R. Yes, I said James Gunn. Guardians of the Galaxy James Gunn. When I found this out, all the pieces of the puzzle fit together. These movies feel just like Guardians of the Galaxy, but with Scooby-Doo characters.
I gotta get out of here. Rhyme.
With saying that though, I feel like the first movie fell short in some aspects, because it tried to be somewhat of a satire of itself, while at the same time, not be a satire of itself. Like it would occasionally mock the cliched tropes that the original series had.
One of you has got to open a secret passageway.
Velma, this is a ride!
But then at the same time it still had all these tropes present. I think they also made a mistake setting the movie on Spooky Island, a new location for the gang to solve mystery on. It needed to be done for plot reasons obviously, but it kinda slows the pacing down because the film has to devote time into giving the lore of the island. Well in the second one, the only details we get at the start are, this is Mystery Inc. They solve mysteries. People like them. And really, that's all you need for a Scooby Doo movie.
Come on, Scoob.
Funnily enough, the first one feels more like a sequel, while the actual sequel feels like it should have been the first movie. You know, since 2 takes place in the gang's residence of Coolsville, but 1 takes them to a new location. Anyways, I'm getting off track. Long story short, Scooby Doo 1 is okay, but let's talk about why Scooby Doo 2 is a masterpiece. I know some of you will probably just say the only reason I'm being so positive to this movie is because I adored it as a kid. And normally I'd agree with you, but both times I rewatched this, I did it with friends who had never seen this movie before, and they all enjoyed it, so it isn't just me. The plot of the film is that while at the height of their popularity, the gang visits the opening of a museum, featuring a bunch of statues of old monsters that they caught back in the original series. A nice touch for older fans of the show. And can I just say these statues look amazing. They're exact replicas. Look at the 10,000 volt ghost. Then look at the statue.
10,000 volt ghost.
Which is real, which is fake? I don't know, you tell me. But while at this museum, an epic fail caused by Shaggy and Scooby gets all the statues stolen by this mysterious guy that looks like Polygon Man, the original PlayStation mascot. The entirety of Coolsville turns on Mystery Inc. after this publicity nightmare.
Like I think Coolsville sucks. No! Don't record that!
Feeling guilty about it and that they don't belong in the team, Shaggy and Scooby decide that they need to step up their game and prove to the gang that they're worthy of being detectives. Personally, I love this story. It's so entertaining watching Shaggy and Scooby trying their hardest to be serious, only to fall back on their usual goofy selves, until they finally realise by the end that it's okay to be themselves. It's been done before, I know, but still, it's just so charming watching them try to sneak off and do things by themselves, which all culminates in this really heartwarming scene of Shaggy talking about his ambitions.
I wish once, just once, I could do the right thing on purpose. I could be a hero and save the day.
I really think that the movie shines in the main duo. The rest of the gang have some entertaining moments too and their own problems to deal with and arcs to have, but I like how the entire movie revolves around their screw up and them wanting to fix their mistake, rather than in the first one where the entire gang just kind of fumbles around a theme park until the monsters show up.
Just walk into the dark, shadowy part of the forest where no one can see you.
Okay.
Speaking of the other characters' arcs, Velma has a fear of, as her actor puts it, intimacy.
And Velma also has to overcome her fear of, I guess you could call it intimacy.
As she gets introduced to her love interest, Chris Griffin. I mean Seth Green. I mean Chris Griffin. It's fine, it can be fun, but just like what we're going to see with the other two's arcs, it really doesn't get much screen time, which is fine, it's there for as long as it needs to be. Like Fred's arc of sharing his emotions, and Daphne's of not having a place on the Hey, you stole that arc from Shaggy and Scooby. Give it back. These smaller arcs do a good job of giving the other characters something to do, but for the most part this is a Shaggy and Scooby movie, which is fine by me because whoa, dang, Matthew Lillard does a fucking amazing job at playing Shaggy. He plays the goofy slacker role perfectly. So perfectly that he now voices Shaggy in the cartoons. It's even more impressive when you take into consideration that his partner for the movie isn't even really there. His interactions with Scooby seem so real, like he's actually got a talking dog with him. And yeah, Scooby's CGI kinda ruins it a bit with how bad the lighting looks on him, but I can somewhat forgive it considering the date the movie came out. And it's actually kind of impressive what they were able to do with the CG in this film since the budget was only around $25 million. For reference, the budget of the first one was around $84 million, and the effects look way worse than that one. Speaking of the interactions with Scooby and Shaggy, their dynamic makes for some really fun moments, not even jokes really, just small character interactions that I can't help but laugh at.
Scooby-Doo, raise your right paw. No, your right paw. Scooby-Doo, your other paw.
And like I said earlier, the humor really reminds me of Guardians of the Galaxy at times. It's a lot of quick zingers and small character interactions that I find the most amusing. It sure beats lines like this from the first film.
Let's get jinky with it.
Ugh. Although the humor can get kinda fetishy at times.
Who's your mommy?
My mommy?
The most common complaint I saw when looking at reviews for this movie was that it was dumb. So what? It knows it's dumb and it embraces its dumbness. The main item that the gang has to get is literally called randomonium. You can't tell me that wasn't intentional. A movie being silly or goofy doesn't automatically make it bad. It's Scooby fucking Doo, of course it's gonna be dumb, and it excels with its dumbness.
You wanna buy a box of cookies?
Have you heard the good news? Yeah, there's cookies.
Another thing I have to compliment this movie on are the sets. They all look so fun. When I was a kid, I desperately wanted to live in Mystery Inc.'s house. There's also this really fun looking bar for villains only that Scooby and Shaggy visit. It's got a lot of creative moments like the Mystery Inc. Whack-A-Mole. If I were to have one minor complaint with the film, and I mean really minor, I think there could have been another scene closer to the end of the film that was more emotional. You know, before the gang enters the final scene, Scooby and Shaggy reflect on their journey so far and how they're feeling. They do this in a really nice scene I was talking about earlier, right after Shaggy and Scooby let all the monsters loose, with their sick rap number. But I feel like there could have been another. Well, it turns out they did do this, but they cut the scene. I get it, it would have really hurt the pacing since it was during a high energy montage, but just look at it, it's so good.
You think we're gonna make it, Scoop?
No.
Me neither. I love you, Scoob.
But have you do, eh?
Fun fact, it's also the only time a Scooby snack ever appears in the film. Don't know how that's relevant, but moving on. The climax of the film is that Scooby does some really radical grinding on Frozen Tower and defeats the bad guys. And I won't lie, this part was so fucking cool to me as a kid. But it's then revealed who the bad guy was all along, in a twist that I don't want to spoil because I really do want people to watch this movie for themselves. And Mystery Inc. are once again respected by the town that was so willing to turn on them at a second's notice. And thus ends the live-action Scooby Doo movies. No, shit, we don't talk about those. It's such a shame that James Gunn's initial vision for the series was never realised. Okay, so while writing this, I just found out he might be directing a new Scooby Doo movie. I fucking hope this is true. But I think that's another reason why the first one was a lot worse. It seems like that film was tampered with a ton to make it family friendly. But with Monsters Unleashed, I'm sure James Gunn had a much better idea of the kind of demographic he was aiming for. And he knocked it out of the park in my opinion. Every kid I knew loved this movie growing up. And while I expected this to just be another film that I watch and go, what the hell? I liked this? It's so awful. In the end, I was pleasantly surprised, with a hilarious film that had a lot of heart.
And a lot of something else, if you know what I'm talking about.
While the movie made a ton of profit, it was not received well at all by critics, and I honestly have no idea why. Like, okay, 4 out of 10 is way too low. A 7 out of 10 I would accept, but a 4? So I propose we all go to IMDb and give this movie the score that it rightfully deserves.